Okay, here I am. I'm live. I'm ready to go. How you doing, folks? Welcome to the show. Good evening, good day, good afternoon. It's House Sparks Maker Worldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Patreon.com/HouseSparks, etc. All the things I forget to say. Wait, well, hold on. I almost forgot where is it? This guy. Ding! Look at that. The Venmo is up. I don't know what else to... Whatever. Ding! No, I'm not. You don't even have to do the House Sparks of Blue Sky. It's just housesparks.com on Blue Sky now. Welcome, everybody. So between the Carter funeral and the wildfires, my feed, media-wise, I think like a lot of you, has been vacillating between heroically inspiring and devastatingly sad. And I think both of those things are running parallel right alongside each other. So to all those that are on the edge of stuff, I'm always... So I have a lot of friends in LA, not the least of which our dear friend Caleb Rappaport from Nerd Halen, whose house was destroyed. His father's home was destroyed. I have other friends who were in the nearly evacuation area and might still. We don't know. And on the one hand, I want to call and check on everybody. On the other hand, I don't want to eat up phone time with anybody, and I feel like I will check in with them afterwards. If I was walking distance to anybody, I would call everybody I know in the surrounding area and go, hey, you got what you need, right? But since I'm not, and any help I could give would be minimum of 24 hours away, I think best to stay out of the way. Maybe some texts are a good way to go at it. And then in contact with those people, once stuff starts, settling down, the wind's supposed to stop tomorrow. It's going from I think 25 miles an hour, slowing down tonight, and it will be 6 miles an hour tomorrow. So that will hopefully give the firefighters the edge they need against it, and they'll get a hold of the outer areas. Right now, they're just securing sites beyond it and try to create a buffer zone. But the management moment, it's always something I struggle with, and I'm curious, chat room, let's talk about this for a second. I'm curious about this, because when you have a lot of connections in the world, and you got a lot of friends spread out all over the place, and crises occur, I always feel like I see a lot of people on social media and a lot of people obviously reaching out via phone and the like. And it's, I suppose in certain moments, it's nice to know you're heard and people care about you. But I always feel like it was kind of goes to the conversation we had yesterday or the day before about the importance of the moment, and that details and circumstantial contact and communication matters more than the emotional. At a certain point when they're dealing, then you'd be there, right? You know what I mean? Then, I feel like every time I see, they show these neighborhoods, and I just want to throw a shovel and a chainsaw in my truck when this is done and just drive out there and do some shoveling. You know what I mean? Afterwards. Because I don't have a fire truck, so I can't put the fires out. And I don't, I'm not going to borrow any water from anywhere else that needs it to do it myself. I got to attach giant water jugs to the top and just, build 3D print spray mechanisms or something. So the help I can do will probably be in cleanup and support and all those kind of things. And so it's really rough, making that, that decision about who do I call out and reach out. I immediately, when I saw Caleb's post, I reached out to him just to check on him and see if he was okay in the immediate situation. Because if there was something I could go, hey man, you guys could go to the house in LA and I'll tell Bumper and Chad to move over. And you guys, if you need a place to flop, you can go there, right? They were the only people I knew at that time who would need, no longer have a home. It's gone. Everything's gone. And they need a place to stay. And they had found one already, so they were good. But you're useless at the moment, just another body in the way when it comes to cleanup, then you can help. I agree, Manchita. I think that's where it should be. Now, somebody just said you were thinking about me and the whole thing of me running for mayor and what Karen Bass is going through. I got to tell you, I agree. I think she's walking into this, relatively new to the job in that regard. And so the idea that, you could prep for a once in 40-year windstorm during the dry season when especially, when the conditions were very bad, but there were warnings. And she was in Africa. She went to Ghana to congratulate them on their president being elected. I have always thought it odd, and this is just me as a human being. When sometimes congressional delegations will go to foreign countries, or groups of mayors or governors will go as trade delegation kind of, caucuses, right, to other countries during their time in office. Let's say California does a lot of trading with some particular country, and there's reason to have, you've got workers in business and all this kind of stuff, and you got all the Armenians in Glendale and yada yada, and you're like, hey, maybe a trip there is worth it with with an outreach group. Considering the size of Los Angeles's economy, it's equal to the majority of the countries. It's greater than the majority of the countries on the planet. Just LA, just Los Angeles. That's why you've got like 35 million homes in equal amount of structures in a certain amount of acreage, and you've got $80 billion in damage. Just think about how much the rest of Los Angeles is worth materially, and then extrapolate that out to the possibility for earthquakes and all that other stuff. You can see where cities that size are always teetering on the brink, right? And so I just got to say, first term, I'll just put it this way. First term, stay put. Mayors, Congress people, especially more, because you're more localized in your electoral group, as far as voters go, and your responsibilities. Senators are one thing, an entire state's a lot, whatever. But just for the record, Biden sent the delegation. She was chosen, but she could have not gone. I'm not blaming her. I'm just saying, hindsight being 2020 and going forward, I would recommend first term, don't go anywhere. First term is I'm just saying. And especially if you have, like if you were mayor of Miami and you knew it was hurricane season. And right now we know it's fire season and things are particularly dry and they had all these warnings or whatever. And, I don't blame her for doing it. This is a once in a couple of lifetimes kind of a circumstance, right? So I'm not saying she was wrong for doing it. I'm just saying my general advice going forward. First term in office, stay put. Dedicate yourself 100% to the space that you are now responsible for, right? If you've been on the city council for 35 years or something, I suppose it's delegation time. They figured out how to get by without. They know what you want. They know what you're working at. That your voters know what to expect. There's a strategy already in place, right? So I'm just saying. It's always fire season when it's dry, when the wind comes. The Santa Ana winds. It is fire season. When the Santa Ana winds are coming, that's what. If you guys remember, go watch Charmageddon. Okay, so if you haven't seen my special Charmageddon, I highly recommend it because it's lovely. But usually when I'm doing stand-up, and this was no different, even though I was taping a special, is I always try to throw in something at the beginning that has to do with where I am. Just kind of, ingratiate yourself to the locals and the audience. Don't just go right into your act, bring them in on it and make them recognize. And there's a joke in the beginning of that, and I won't reiterate it, about Santa Ana and the fact that every time, the Santa Ana winds blow, everything catches fire. This is not anything new. Now, the extraordinary nature of this is what's new, and horrifying. And it's this is one of those things where there are elements of it that are insurmountable no matter what anybody would have done. There's not enough water you could reservoir to deal with fires this big over this big an area. There's also a lot of arson that happens in these situations. Assholes setting fires because it's all starting and like, this is the time, you know, and so they run out, or some like rank fucking psychopath decides, you know, that they're going to join in the fun. There's all kinds of stuff, okay? That happens in these circumstances. But at the baseline, it was red flags everywhere. And so, you know, it might be a good idea. Just, and I'm going to say this, anytime your first term in office, you run for, I don't know, state commissioner, you run for counselor, you run for DA, you run for mayor, you run for lieutenant governor, whatever it is, first term, stay put. Do yourself that favor. Yeah, and trying to commit murder. Yes, there's always that opportunistic shit in there. I'm telling you, though, okay? So just putting that out there. This is my advice to you, and a reminder to myself that were I in the same circumstance, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not leaving the city for the most part. Any place I can't be back in the city in under 3 hours, meaning basically the rest of the United States, I'm not going anywhere. First term. Second term, you got a staff in place. Everybody knows what you want. You've already got a kind of shorthand with not just your people that you brought in, but with the other people around you, and you can expect that you've got the coordination of it down. It'd be another thing too if you were mayor of something else, or you were deputy mayor and then you became mayor. Maybe you get a little wiggle room because you spent some time in that office, and and it's just you're almost kind of like getting a promotion. But most of the time, that's not what happens, especially when it comes to mayors. Okay. Evening. So I'm just saying, as a general good look, I would like to say, going forward, it's a thought, okay? And I'm not, again, I have nothing against Mayor Bass, and she's doing a fine job. She'll be all right. But there are bear traps all over the place in a place as big and as complex as Los Angeles. Same thing with New York or any of these other places. Stay put. It's a digital world, and you can do a lot of stuff there, especially when you're getting all these red flags. It's just as a practice. Just say it. This doesn't have to be blame. I would say going forward, knowing what we know. And largely because just getting, she's obviously, as a congressperson, been involved in politics in the area for a very long time. But the difference between congressperson and mayor is executive. The congressperson, and now LA is different because there's the city council. The city council is more to blame than Mayor Bass is by any stretch about any shortcomings that occurred. Right? Clearly. Because they're the ones who set the standards, and it's a lot of times the mayor of Los Angeles wrestles a lot of power from them, and developmentally clearing old places and building new places and all stuff. That's the one thing that the city council slow rolls all the fucking time. So on the one hand, you want to save old buildings and make sure they're around for a long time, but you also want to make sure that if a building is basically vacant, like you can go through Hollywood and there's a bunch of like what I would say empty investment properties by foreign investors that just sit vacant and rotting, and they get fined every so often if they become like a crack house or a user house of any sort, and somebody dies there or whatever, and then they get a fine, and so they just build the fence up higher, and then they just cut a hole out of the bottom. You know what I mean? They don't do anything. There's tons of these things, and they should have been knocked down years ago, but the people who own them don't live in the country, don't give a shit about them, are just sitting on them because they expect, real estate in the Los Angeles area to go up, all the time. So the mayor screwed up the hydrants that were dry. No, she did not. The issue there quite frankly, is just the volume of water needed. There's no way the reservoir holds enough water for fires this big, because it's extraordinary. You know what I mean? At a certain point, what you need it for is just to mitigate and hold the fire, and then you got to call in reinforcements. But the wind was so strong, they couldn't bring in, water planes and helicopters and stuff, because it would knock them, they would contribute to the problem, right? So I wish I could bring up a picture of this place. But like on, is it on, I think it's on Boulevard, Hollywood, Vermont, whatever. Okay, so let me see if I can bring this up. Maybe I can map my way through this. Yeah. I don't know if I can. Satellite bird's eye street view. Let's go to here. Yeah, there, right there. And then street side. Close this. Go away. Try to give you a street view. Okay, where are we? Okay, yeah. All right, so let's go down Vermont. Shall we, kids? Hold on. Let's take a little trip with me. This is LA. This is not obviously live. We're going down Vermont. And there's sunset. I'm going to keep going to where Vermont hits Hollywood. And you'll find that, come on. Just go this way. Okay, keep going, you crazy thing. I don't want to zoom in on it, you goofball. It's so much easier on an app, isn't it? So over in this area of Hollywood, there's a lot of like mixed buildings. There's some like schools or official buildings, and then there's a lot of like rando apartment buildings on the right. None of them are very big because it's all built at a time when there's like let's see, I'm going to try to bring this up right here. I want to go over to here, actually. Let's go to here. I'm not going there, you silly. Go there. Okay, yeah. Found it. Man, I'm so good. God damn, I'm good. Look at that. Okay, so this is Sunset Boulevard. See this building, this white rotted building, which looks kind of cool. Looks like an old motel or something like that. Okay, this thing has been a rotten white contraption. No, this is the other side of town, by the way. This is nowhere near the whiskey. This is closer, heading towards downtown. But see this thing? This is a cool looking building. This could be apartments. This could be shops. It could be a myriad of things. But it is sat derelict and dumpy with this barrier in front of it for ages, a decade at least. And to me, at some point, and this is what I would lay at the feet of the city council, because the mayor can't do anything about this per se except yell at them, I suppose. This building, more than likely, is owned by a foreign consortium of God knows who fucking money somewhere. And you can't buy it and you can't sell it, and the city can't seize it, and it just sits there. Basically becoming a drug den, or just people die at random, or, like it could be a homeless shelter. I mean, there's so much you could use it for. And it's, but it has looked exactly like this forever. And to me, I feel like this would be one of those things where, after a decade, the city council should be able to make a rule about zoning that says, hey, if you buy a building and you just leave it to rot, I don't give a shit if you're paying your taxes on the space. You either got to shit or get off the pot. You either have to develop it or knock it down. Because the building itself is dangerous, and if you go, all I want to do is have the land and this thing, then you're going to pay the price of the property that could have been there, because we need apartments, And so if there's a building next door to it that has, 12 or 20 apartments in it, and you could build an equal thing here, you can either do that, and there's all sorts of tax incentives to do it, or you can get the fuck out. Because all this thing is doing is sitting there waiting for somebody to set fire to it. Right? And again, total foreign money. Just absolutely not owned by an American citizen at all. They're doing that. We're doing that here in Ireland. It's smart, Colin. Super smart. And when you have a city that needs homes, needs apartments, needs living spaces of all economic stripes, the idea in a place where shit is that expensive that you would have, and this is not, I'm picking this one, out at random because I'm used to passing it all the time. But there's a shit ton of buildings like this. And there's no reason for it. And they're all barricaded, and they're all, and they just sit there as this like chunk of blight. It's a huge problem. And it all has to do with foreign investment that has no strings attached. And this could be part of some Saudi asshole's portfolio that he never has to touch because it will go up in value just because of everything else around it. So anybody around here, like you own this building right here, let's say you were like investing and you're like, I don't have enough money to build up, but I could build out, right? Or whatever you're doing. You can't, because this thing is just a fucking hole. And then, like, here's a similar cross street. There's a parking lot attached to this little place, like these little guys. There's a lot of people who are grandfathered in, and this is cute. They rent these things out. People have little shops in them, that kind of stuff. And there's an apartment building and some, like a strip mall thing over here. The apartments are over here. And then there's this fucking monstrosity. This has got to be remedied. As LA mayor, that would be one of my cause celebs. Blight properties got to go. They're either going to be knocked down flat. We're going to bulldoze these motherfuckers so that you can rent it out as a parking lot. Or we're going to, or they've got to be rebuilt, fixed up, or they've got to have somebody build up on it. Because what the hell? New York has a lot of places like this as well. And it's all foreign money. Now, what's the secondary cause of something like this? What does this do? Yeah, it's a tax write-off. I don't doubt it. But it shouldn't be. It should be too expensive to just have it sit. That's how you handle it. It'd be a crack house in Ohio. It's a crack house there, effectively. A small park is a great idea. Right, exactly. These are foreign landlords who own big portfolios of dead property. And because LA property is so valuable, they can just sit there and let it rot and pay the minimum property tax on it. They know whenever they sell it, they're going to sell it for a lot. It will never effectively go down. And the city council, because they slow roll any building that on areas where people do want to build, that automatically raises the value of shit like this. Because, that land will always be a premium. Unless they let places that are, a block of 3-story apartments build up to 10-story apartments, right? And so by not allowing regular development, by not allowing growth to match the people that live in the city, because we're not talking about them building suburbs out in the middle of fucking nowhere. This is in a city where there's been population for a long fucking time. By not allowing that buildup, it drives up the value of all land in the area because you're going to need it eventually. You're going to have it even if you build a single home on it. Anyways, so this piece of property, just so you know, like this, is there something in your town? Chat room, let me know. Is there something in your town that makes you shake your head when you drive by it? One thing you see all the time? Something when you're driving around, you're like, what the fuck? Why won't they fix that, right? Whatever that is, there are dozens of other people who feel the same way you do, if not hundreds. Think of the traffic you go through and you see that one thing all the time and you're like, God damn, what the fuck is that? Right? Your whole town. Easy. Right? But you know what I'm talking about. Like, within the measure of everything. If it's the whole town, then there's something even worse in that town that would probably be the linchpin of the problems with it, right? Trump Tower, Chicago, right? Gold monstrosities. Think of that thing. And know that in your town, everybody drives by thinking the same thing. There's hundreds of other people who think exactly the same thought you think about it. And then there's dozens of other people that if you brought up to them that thing, they go, oh yeah, I've seen that thing. What the fuck? And from that point on, they would notice it every day too. Old electric building in your small town. There you go. Right. Yeah, you call your house. Easy done. So there are, there's so many of these things where they are already, for our friends who want to run for office someplace on a local level, that's where you start. Let's each take a pet project. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. As a matter of fact, the fuck is the address on this thing? 4270 Sunset Boulevard. I don't even know that this is the, well, I'm going to look it up. Hold on. Let's see. I don't even know if that's the, nope, that's the other side of the street. So it's 4271, I bet. Let's see, go across the street. No, that's further down the road too. Yeah, it's this thing. Hold on. Yeah. 4301, it seems to like. Yeah. Is that this thing? Nope. Yeah, so this thing doesn't even have a fucking address. So sad. Okay, maybe it's attached to that. Maybe that's the back end of it. Maybe that's what, oh, maybe it's not technically a Sunset address. That makes sense. It's on whatever that corner is. So technically speaking, it's on this street. Yeah, so it's like an apartment on, oh God, look at this fucking thing. It's so fucking sad. Look at this. This is on this little street right here. Whatever, let's see, this little guy, who's this? But yeah, so that's the building from the side, right? All the way up to the corner, and it goes down to here, and then there was like an entryway here or something. Probably was hurt in the earthquake back then. So this is the corner of Bates. Yeah, it's the Bates Motel. Of course it is. Why not? So that thing is basically a target for all kinds of awful. Let's see. Derelict. Well, let's see. I'm turning this into a project right here. Derelict building, Bates and Sunset, Los Angeles. Seedy former motel and whatever this is, 2015. In the afterlife, ghostly apparition installation possesses Sunset Boulevard Motel. Even the okay, fuck you. I'm not gonna pay for that. So stupid. It's the Sunset Pacific Motel. So they turned it into a public art piece by painting it white. Jesus, Look at this. That's how it got white in the first place. Somebody decided to paint it all white as an art piece. Lemro tells Curry used a crew of painters armed with sprayers and giant hoses to cover the Sunset Boulevard in an ecologically safe lime wash. Only took them a week to get the bulk of the work done, but they're still working here, totally covered. It's quite unique send-off for the seedy landmark before it's ultimately raised for a mixed user. It never was. This is 2015 when this happened. Project announced last October is probably the first time in a long time the old inn, aka Sunset Pacific, has got much attention. The Bates, whose nickname is much callback to Psycho. Except for squatters, the occasional totally fun-looking, likely illegal party. City was set to demolish it in 2009, but developers Frost Chaddock bought the property with the intention of putting one of a trio of mixed users on the site. FC was a big supporter of the artwork of Lemro. Eventually, Frost will demolish a great white hotel to make way for the largest of its 3 planned developments. 122 unit with 5,000 square feet combined retail, restaurant space. That never happened. That was 2009. It's 2020 fucking 4. City OK's demolition of Silver Lake's Bates Motel. September 23rd, 2009. Most people have been charging people to cross in front of the motel. It's been empty for decades. William Larson attended the hearing, told the board president. Marcia Brown said she received nearly 200 letters in support of demolition. Lawyer for the owners, listed as FNS Silver Lake LLC, a company with a Michigan mailing address, attended the hearing but was clearly in the minority. Only person besides the lawyer. Okay, hold on. Now, FNS Silver Lake LLC. Let's check out who they are. Give me 1 second. This is chat room. We're in business. Probably ran out of money. I don't know. Probably just forgot about it. LAcity.gov. Phase 1 environmental assessment was made in 2007 for FNS Silver Lake LLC with a P.O. box in LA, but they're linked there, prepared by Terracon. That's who did it, drafted it up. Submit the enclosed environmental site assessment. Ground is relatively sound, isn't going to fall over. What's their declaration? Let's see, page 9. Jesus. Yeah, this is the there you go. View of the east adjacent, view of the west from the west adjacent. This is all the shit that's inside it. There's the site looking east, site looking west. It's basically out the windows at the houses across the street. Miscellaneous furniture, pines located in the vacant hotel space. There's a couple of ATVs parked in there in the underground spaces. I wonder if they're still there. Probably fucking still there. Okay, whatever. Anyways, so this is 2007. Then in 2009, they're gonna raise this thing. Now FNS Silver Lake LLC is in Wilmington, California. FNS Silver Lake LLC, Bingham Farms, Michigan, Wilmington, Delaware. So it's a Delaware corporation. There are 2 companies with the name FNS Silver Lake LLC. One, Bingham Farms, Michigan. That would be the address for the other place. And the other one is Wilmington, Delaware. That sounds like a corporation. Asbestos survey led inspections were proposed. Open corporates. Who the fuck are these people? There we go. This sign-on, no change. Sign-on complete. Registration. They registered. They have their. Yeah, here you go. This is the extent of this shit. 2007, they ran all these things to see if they're going to do it. In 2009, they passed. They were going to dump it. Mailing address: Telegraph Road in Michigan, Bingham Farms, Michigan, out in the middle of fucking nowhere. Head office address: California, United States. Get out of here. FNS Silver Lake, Delaware, which is just your standard corp. House company, free and open company, okay. See if these guys, open corp, 1 officer available. Please log in to see this data. I don't give a shit. Similarly named company. There's their annual statement. The last annual statement was in 2013 for 2012. Wait, okay, maybe they have more. No, 2014, annual statement. That was the last known one. FNS Silver Lake Company, filing URL. Let's see who the fuck these people are. It's the same rotate. Agent name Gilbert Buzz Silverman is the guy. Buzz, good old Buzz Silverman. Gil Buzz Silverman. is a domestic limited liability company jurisdiction. Log in to see the day incorporation date. In existence, but not in good standing. So who the fuck? Jesus Christ. Can I just go lay claim to this property then? Seriously, what's the squatter rules? I should just move into this fucking thing. Except I don't want to get asbestos poisoning. Director's office. I'm not going to log in to see the officer, and this is going to be Buzz. The one officer is going to be Gilbert Buzz Silverman. All right, I'm keeping this information for later. Sunset Boulevard's basement hotel maybe coming down again. That was 2009. Nope. Yeah, look at this. Turning Silver Lake's derelict thing into a derelict thing. And by the way, this is the derelict building at Bates, and there you go. Seedy former motel gets a new life. This is 2015. That's where they were going to knock it down, neglected, turning it into this. You can check it out. W Magazine, 15 years ago, a trip to Los Angeles, French artist Lamoureux discovered this derelict Sunset Pacific and painted it fucking white. Who cares? Explaining massive Sears Tower complex in Los Angeles. That I want to buy. That's fucking great. Oh my God, the Sears Tower complex is down where my band rehearsal space is. That's another one. That could be fucking apartments forever. Huge lofts. Awesome. Not far from downtown. Silly. God damn, these people are dumb. This is rough. Okay, now I'm sorry I got lost down a rabbit hole, kids. But you can see why I have designs on doing something about these fucking things. Pay 5 years of back taxes and it's yours. Is that the rule, Groove? Shit, if I find out how much that is on the down low, I'm gonna start a GoFundMe for the cost of that and a bulldozer. Son of a bitch. So there's a lot to this that just drives me fucking bananas, and it's so fucking sad, and it's unnecessary. Check out the SCOTUS. Oh, because SCOTUS told him to go pound sand. He can't punt his hearing. He's going to get basically his. I would love to see. I mean, we'll see. We won't know, but I would love to see his. The judge say, you've been found guilty. I'm sentencing you to jail time. But since you have a presidential term to serve for those 4 years, I will hold it in abate. And as long as you're a good boy and you don't commit any crimes while you're president that you can be held liable for on a state level, we'll call it quits. That'd be hilarious. That'll be your 2028 campaign office. It's a great fucking idea. Rebuild it and then go, see, this is how you get shit done.